Welcome everybody to another edition of the Hurry Up. I'm your host, Don Juan Sports. Adam, let's get right into it. Free agency has gone crazy. It's like a fire sale out there. Everyone's getting signed. Teams are improving. Didn't I say it's the most funny that you can have in the offseason? Well, it is. If we preview the NFC East, which we're going to preview this week, and we'll go on the next couple of shows with every team in every conference, but we'll start with the NFC East. The Cowboys made moves. Brandon Carr and Kyle Orton. Kyle Orton's a veteran backup. He'll be there for 3 years. Can essentially resurrect his career if he wants. Great move for the Cowboys. Brandon Carr, good move. Essentially a move they made because of the New York Giants, and they got burned last year. Burned by Victor Cruz. They don't want to be burned anymore. They got rid of that flat tire in Terrence Newman, so he's gone. He was a scrub anyways. So essentially they got rid of him. Brought in Brandon Carr. We'll see how they mesh on that defense and see how he fits in. They wanted Cortland Finnegan. They settled for Brandon Carr. I think they got a good player. So the Cowboys look like they're moving in a direction. Speaking of the Cowboys, they did lose their tight end. Not a big deal to them. Not a big deal for many. But the New York Giants, Super Bowl champs, got Martellus Bennett on a 1-year deal, about $2.5 million. What this essentially does is cleans up the Giants for the blocking tight end that they need, which means they can bring in somebody for an H-back role, which essentially is, if you look at what the Giants are doing, if you listen to me now, they're going to be going back to a power running game. Essentially, what they're going to do with Martellus Bennett is work the middle of the field. When you work the middle of the field, essentially, the Giants didn't do too many. They did a lot of go routes and a lot of deep routes and not many deep outs. This at least allows them to have another underneath presence to catch those 5-yard out, so then on third, they don't have to go 3rd and 11. On 2nd and 10, they can throw a pass, get 5 yards, and essentially move the ball that way. They have running back issues. They'll address. They address the defense with signing Terrell Thomas. We'll see if they bring in any linebackers. The fact that they haven't sped up on signing Jonathan Goff and they signed an outside person as well tells me his rehab process was probably a little slow. Look for them to make a move either in the draft or in free agency with a guy like Stephen Tulloch. Which brings us to the Redskins, who, the Redskins. The Redskins, they like to spend money. They like to spend. That's all they do is spend money. They spend money. They're worse than an ATM. They just give money out. And essentially, they don't get anything in return. So we'll see. They got Pierre Garçon. I like that move, but then again, I think what this league is turning into is one tall, big receiver in the red zone and a small slot guy and a vertical threat. So we'll see. They don't really have a tall guy, so we'll see if they get him. They might go with a Manningham, but Pierre Garçon, I don't know if it's going to be their number one. He essentially is what Santana Moss was. Santana Moss was that explosive receiver. You're bringing in Pierre Garçon. He's going to do the same thing over there. And they're also looking into offensive line. And obviously, they made the huge trade to get to the second pick in the draft, which is RG3. Hopefully, it works out for them. Yeah, that's right, John Fans. I said, hopefully, it works out for them. You want to see a competitive team out there every year, year in and year out. It makes your team better, essentially, and it makes every team better. So, RG3, hopefully, it works out for them. We'll see what happens come draft day. And this brings us to the last team, the Philadelphia Eagles. They locked up Deshaun Jackson. They cut a couple offensive linemen, so we'll see what happens. Their quarterback situation, though, is what I worry about. How can Michael Vick hold up in the season? Is always the big question, as well as will he be the answer? Can he win the big game? That's essentially what it's coming down to. The Eagles now have 2 vertical threats. They need an underneath threat, which means either they need a tight end and an H-back to really separate the linebackers. A better linebacking core. Look for them to probably sign Dan Connor or go for somebody in the draft. But if you go for somebody in the draft, be aware they're going to make a lot of mistakes. And you can't do that when you got a guy like Martellus Bennett and Jason Witten and Fred Davis, essentially three tight ends with some speed. You don't essentially want a middle linebacker being a rookie when they have some tendencies. So I expect them to do something in the next couple of weeks. But like we said, free agency is a frenzy. The NBA is still getting going. If you're a Knicks fan, you got to be upset. We were talking about insanity and how long it will last. Well, guess what? They can't mesh together. D'Antoni resigns. It's more of an indictment on the player than it is the coach, meaning they can't mesh well. So instead of getting fired at the end of the season, he resigns, which essentially tells you they're probably going to fire him anyways. Um, it also means that Carmelo Anthony does not work well with people, so we'll see what happens. Donnie Nelson got rid of him over in, or excuse me, George Carl got rid of him over in Denver, which tells me that if Denver can get rid of him, and they was the leading scorer for the last couple of years, tells me the Knicks can't get rid of him. Stoudemire has a bad wheels, and Tyson Chandler is not. It's not his team yet to say anything. See, everybody wants you to be a leader, but you need to have a fit to be a leader. You need to be there over a year or two to be a leader. Look at the Giants, Antrell Roll. It took him a year to get acclimated with the system, acclimated. Once he started to buy in, he became a leader. That is where we are. This is the hurry up. Spring training is going on. It's the Grapefruit League. Nothing really too impressive about that. Mostly you just want to see if your guys that are injured are coming back healthy. And then, of course, we got to push for the playoffs in the NHL. We will return in the next couple days with more free agency updates. We'll see how the Knicks keep it up. And if there is a trade on the trade deadline, tomorrow at 3, it's a big day. Will Dwight Howard be a New Jersey Net? I'm your host of the Hurry Up and the Don Juan Sports. Catch me every week. See you later.